Hello, my name is Kristen Quattlebaum and I am the owner of KQ Coaching. I am a former 15-year corporate hustler turned intuitive life coach. I believe that we connect through our stories, and so I am here today to share with you my story, moving from living my life and very much in the logical mind to now a very intuitive based life. So my journey started when I got out of college, and I spent the first 6 years seeking to climb the corporate ladder, find out where I belonged, establish myself on a corporate path. And I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and then was subsequently promoted to Orlando, Florida, and then again to Wilmington, Delaware. I very much was in a space of putting my head down, working, proving myself, proving my value. I valued my independence, and I wanted to prove to the world that I could support myself and create this life of my dreams, this life of success that I felt I was supposed to create. And so I ended up moving back home at the time, and I got another position. I was offered an opportunity, actually, is why I moved home, to continue my career as an analyst in Buffalo. So I ended up moving back home and very much so putting my head down and being in that space again. What ended up happening after about 6 years into my career was I experienced debilitating anxiety. Everything sort of came to a head. I feel like my vessel was full and just couldn't take anymore. So I was being called to seek within and start looking at what was going on within me. So I went to the doctor, and she recommended that I start seeing a therapist. At the time, I wasn't used to dealing with anxiety at all, so I had no idea really how to handle that. And it was a struggle for me. It was a space that I felt was unknown territory for me. I felt that I wasn't in control anymore, and I wanted to get that control back of my life as quickly as I could. So in therapy, we started unraveling the layers, right? Therapy, what I learned in therapy was that it's okay for me to feel. I had been suppressing my emotions for 30 years, and therapy gave me a space to start emoting and caring about what was underneath and what I felt and what I needed. Therapy started giving me a voice for myself. And from there, what ended up happening was I started my MBA, and then I was invited actually to attend an executive banking school. I worked for a bank at the time. There were only 4 of us out of 17,000 chosen for this program, and I was very excited. At the time, I just felt that I had a lot of support around me, and I had these major leaders in the corporation that were behind me and pushing me forward on my path, and that felt really good. I even went to this school. There were only about 100 of us in the whole country selected for my particular year, and I was a banking officer at the time, and I was surrounded by a bunch of other executives who had hundreds of people reporting to them underneath them. And I remember feeling really small, and at the same time it was an opportunity, right? Because here I am, like very early on in my career, being recognized as one of the bank's future leaders. So that program was 25 months long. I traveled to South Carolina to attend it each year, and it was incredible. My career started really taking off on its trajectory. From there, once I got out of the program, I had been promoted twice, and I was at this point a vice president, and I had a team. And that was really exciting for me. I felt that, finally I'm on my way, I'm on my path. This feels really good. I'm stepping into my leadership. I'm stepping into who I am, finding my voice, I was asked to read this book, Strengths Finder, which was a very big moment for me in my career because it helped me to see my strengths and not focus so much on all the things that I wanted to fix about myself or improve. This book changed that for me. It allowed me to speak up about my strengths and really help leaders see where I best serve the team and maximize and leverage those strengths on the team. So it was an amazing book to read. And that also started my journey and interest in learning all about personality and like who I am. And I'm in therapy unraveling like the personal side, right? And here I am on the leadership side, just trying to understand more about who I am as a leader. What are my skills? What value do I bring to the table? Strengths Finder was one of the pieces there. I also learned about Myers-Briggs and DISC and any sort of self-assessment, 5 love languages that you could take. I had taken it because I was just soaking in all of this information. And I remember at the time, while things were looking great for me on the outside, I still felt like there's something more. And at the time, I was watching TED Talks, and this TED Talk came across my screen, and it was by Emily Wapnick called Why Some of Us Don't Have Just One True Calling. And it called to me, so I listened to it, and she spoke a lot about how as kids we're asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it often elicits these cute responses like, I want to be a ballerina, I want to be a piano player, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a firefighter. And we often don't hear kids, it's supposed to elicit one response. We don't hear kids say, I want to be a ballerina and a doctor and a pianist, right? So we're conditioned to be forced into one path, one identity. And she talks about this pattern that she sees in her life where she finds something that she gets really excited about, and then she, after a year or two, hits a brick wall. And, she's sort of learned everything that she can about it. She's super intense and passionate about it, and now she's ready to move forward. And so she finds the next thing. And then she's super excited because there's the next path. There's my path. I finally found it. And the same thing happens. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I wasn't alone. I felt like there's other people in the world that feel this same way. They feel they haven't found their path. They don't know where they belong. They don't know where they fit in. And that was so big for me. It was a huge moment for me because it was just such a relief on my chest that there's nothing wrong with me. And so I self-proclaimed, she calls us multi-potentialites, and I call myself a multi-potentialite, and I dove into that identity, and I just shout it from the rooftops. So from there, what ended up happening was I dove more into my leadership, started on a steering committee for a women's group there, and just dove more into becoming more of a leader. But at the end of the day, I knew I was ready for change. And so I ended up, through networking, I met a woman who introduced me to a small company who said, the owner here is looking for someone to come in and shake up what they've been doing for 30 years, really shift things and help them. They've been at this plateau. They need somebody to sort of push them to the next level. And here's me, I'm super out of the box, and she saw that in me. She saw, you're out of the box, you're looking to spread your wings, and I feel that this space will do this for you. And so I ended up shifting into a software company, and again, saw a lot of rapid promotion. So within 2 years, I was promoted 3 times, or had 3 positions. So I was promoted twice. And It was an incredible experience. It was for a smaller company, so about 60 people. Definitely allowed me to spread my wings and really project my leadership more, and start to serve. I started working on the human resources side of things. I started overseeing human resources, organizational development, change management, technology program management. I started overseeing a lot of different things that I was able to work with people and figure out what their strengths were and put them where they wanted to be. And so that was a really cool opportunity for me. And what ended up happening, I actually, at that point, going back to my therapy journey now, so I'd been in therapy now for about 6 years, and I knew I wanted to move on from therapy. So this is, just to give reference, is about 2.5 years ago. And I started with coaching at that point. I looked up a coach. I actually looked up a podcast on emotional eating because that was something that I still sort of struggled with. I tend to numb my emotions with food, shopping, and work at the time. Those were my numbing mechanisms. So I ended up hiring a coach. I did a group program for food and body image, and at the time I was still in the software company. As I was wrapping up that program, the software company eliminated my position. And so I was actually getting ready to start the certification program in this coaching company, and I was unemployed. But my intuition told me that that was my journey. This is, you're going to apply for this program, they're going to be a coach in it afterwards, and that's what I did. And so from there, I ended up taking about 6 months off of my corporate life and spent a lot of 2018 just unraveling, really. That's what I did for most of 2018. Unraveling, going deeper. Therapy definitely helped me start exploring my emotional side, but therapy just ripped the Band-Aid off and forced me to look deep at my wounds and go super deep and emotional, and it was super confronting and incredible at the same time. And so ended up finding another position, and within 6 months, very similar to the software company, wanted to sort of change what they've been doing. After about 6 months, ended up also eliminating my position. And from there, I decided I'm going to start my coaching business. At this point, I had been super successful in my career, but I had 2 positions eliminated within a year of each other, and I took it as a sign. Okay, universe, I will surrender and start my coaching business. Get out of corporate and start coaching. And that's what I did. So this is 2019, and I haven't looked back since. It's been such an incredible journey. And when I look back at my corporate life, I was very much, the whole hustling for happiness, right? I was so busy looking for everything outside of me to give me the answers, to tell me where I belonged, where did I fit in, what is my identity, who am I? I was reading all the books, I was talking to all the mentors, and I never, amongst any of it, felt understood. I had insights, yes, but did I ever feel understood? No. And that was very frustrating for me. Why couldn't I just find where I belonged? And when I started my coaching journey, I started meditating. That's when I really started learning how to quiet my mind and get in touch with me, with who I really am. I started hearing whispers from my intuition. Once I was able to find peace in my mind, which took a time, it's a process, I started hearing voices. I started hearing bits of knowledge and invitations for me. I started having visions about my life in the future and then seeing those visions come true. At this point, I knew that I wanted to explore that deeper. I really started believing in intuition. You see, we're so conditioned to live our life based in the mind. It's so much. People are afraid of computers taking over the world, and the mind has been the creator of this world that we live in. The mind has created this life. And once I was able to quiet that peace, I was able to find my own inner strength, my purpose, my intuition, my inner guidance system. I no longer had to look outside myself. It wasn't until then that I started really finding true fulfillment. And so I ventured on to get an intuitive certification, and now what I do is I teach people how to leverage their intuition in their life. I help orient people back to the magic within them. That's where all the answers are. Everything you seek is within you. The mind is so fear-based and based in lack and scarcity. It wants to protect you and keep you safe and keep you small and keep you in the same space and the same box that you've been in. And intuition is expansive and limitless and filled with so much love and guidance and support and safety. That's what I found, my safety within me. It was no longer about money or the job or the relationship that I needed to latch onto to find what I felt I needed to be complete in my life. I've never felt more complete than I do right now. And my purpose only continues to expand. And I'm excited about that. I used to get paid to think, and now I live my life in this intuitive way. It's taken so much pressure off me to be what everyone else thinks I should be. I get to design the life of my dreams. As an entrepreneur, I've decided to take off the last week of every month, because I want to let the universe know this is the life that I desire. This is the life I want to create. I don't believe that I have to hustle my life away. What would this world look like if we all lived from this space? We're walking around so disconnected. In the matrix, I like to say. What if we all came back home within and got to create the life of our dreams in our purpose, the reason we're here? What would that feel like? It's my invitation to you. How can you quiet your mind and connect back to your heart? So, thank you for being here. If you vibe with my energy, I'm all about energy. If you feel a connection with me, that's our souls speaking to each other. And I invite you to reach out. You can find me on social media at KQ Coaching and on my website, kqcoaching.com. Email me, reach out to me. You can schedule a chat and talk about what it looks like to work with me to help you unravel all the layers to becoming your true self, becoming who you were always meant to be, shedding all of that conditioning. Namaste.